In this episode, I'll be giving my reaction and analysis for the first episode of Survivor's 50th season titled Epic Party. I've been waiting months and months for this episode, so let's dive right into Epic Party. Obviously, there's some big news breaking at the end of this episode in regards to one of the two people who went home. Obviously, both of those people tragic losses, but we will get into spoilers later on. I'll go through the episode from the start to the finish, and it's hard for me to do this right now. I'm a little sad. I am a little sad. It was going to be, as we got closer to the season starting, I realized we are going to be losing people left and right in the season. There's 24 players, and there's only a couple people who I'm not really fans of. Stephanie LaGrossa. Anyways, there's certain people that I'm not looking forward to seeing, but there was really no like it's going to be tough to watch people go home is what I'm trying to say, and we saw two people go home tonight. It sucks. Anyways, let's get into this episode. So, starting it out, obviously we had this the first 5 minutes of the episode that was already aired on Instagram beforehand. I think I saw it yesterday or the day before. Honestly, I don't like how they do this. The first 5 minutes of the show are aired somewhere. I think it's better to get the initial reaction. Like I didn't. It was annoying to just watch that again. What's the point in that? I don't know. Like, what's the theoretical marketing behind that of showing the first 5 minutes on Instagram before the season even starts? Especially everyone out there, be very wary of spoilers in the comments. Everywhere you go, there's going to be spoilers for a returner season. I am luckily not spoiled on anything yet. Well, I am spoiled on one thing. It has to do with the Mr. Beast appearance. That's it. That's the only thing I know. I don't know anything about placements, which made tonight really interesting. I don't know how people watch this show spoiled Survivor. It's what makes it good is trying to guess who goes home. Anyways, that all aside, you don't have to worry about any spoilers from me. I have no idea what happens throughout the duration of the season. Cutting into this intro. Intro is awesome. I think it's hard to think of moments on the spot, but they really covered a lot of bases. You had a lot of Boston Rob in there. You had a lot of Ozzy, Suri, like all the players on 50. You start with the moments of Borneo, which I thought was a great callback. I think my only gripe was when they got to the beach and Jeff was like, we wanted to pick a little bit of everything. There is not one player who played their first season in the 20s. So that's a little bit, we're floating the line there. And there's a lot more new era than there is old era. So I don't think that's a fair representation of that. Like he's selling it off like, oh, we've a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There's people you missed out on, and we don't need to go down this rabbit hole. The season's here, so I'm not going to spend too much time being negative about it. But let's not act like this is the most like diverse cast of returners, and we have people from all. We don't have people from all eras. We have certain people from certain eras, and that's okay. At the end of the day, this was in the hands of the fans, but one thing that was not in the hands of the fans was the cast choices. So we got these 24 people. I think most of them are good picks, and I did a lot of listening to. I listened to every single player's preseason interview with Mike Bloom. So that really shout out to Mike Bloom, shout out to Robert's podcast. That really got me super excited for the season. So regardless, I think I'm gonna be happy unless one person wins, then that's okay. But like there were people like Rick Devens. I was not a fan of Rick Devens coming into this episode. I liked Rick Devens after tonight. There were certain people like Kyle. I was like, what are you doing here? And after tonight, I'm like, we'll get into that later. And it was this was so fun. This was a really great episode. Regardless of the ending, kind of stunk it out a little bit just because of what actually happened. But this was an awesome episode, and I'm geeking for the next. I can't wait to like hear exit interviews, hear the behind the scenes, get into next. Like I need to see what happens right away, and we have the blessing of being here every week and getting into it. So let's continue on with the episode. Obviously, great introduction to all the players. Jeff really picked on a lot of the old school players to give their sort of monologue to begin the season, which makes sense. Coach is a great storyteller. Sari, you got to cut to Sari, you got to cut to Jenna Lewis first to be like, you're here now after being on the first season, and it was very nostalgic and very like they played into it, which I really liked. I think this season is for the fans and even the casuals. I think like there's people here for the casual fans on the Facebook, and there's here for like the geeks like me on, you know, standing like there's people for everybody. There's people for the casual, there's people for everybody. This was awesome. So I'm super excited heading into this season. And right away we got the episode title from Mike White. A lot of Mike White in this episode, which makes sense. I think even if he's only here until next week, he's going to be featured on the show pretty heavily. So he gets the episode title calling it an epic party. And I clocked, did y'all clock this? He calls out he's going to be working with Angelina and Christian, and he was pre-gaming with them. I picked it up off the bat where he's like, I didn't want to miss out on this season because I would have to hear about it from Angelina and Christian. What does that mean? I'd be a little bit worried about that trio moving forward. Even though I did see an interview from Angelina saying she was surprised at Christian's pregame. There's so much drama into this and into the returning player seasons. That's what makes it so fun. But I don't know. I think Mike White can get away with being like whatever, whatever. I don't think he's going to be getting in any trouble due to that comment. I just thought that was funny that he just blatantly called out working with Angelina Christian and not no really cared about that. Awkward moment for the 49th season also where Rizzo and Savannah got the call out initially on the mat. No one even knows who they are yet. And they're saying, oh, we have someone from the first season and someone from the most recent season. And they're like they didn't really get a loud applause. I remember Savannah like kind of tried to get the group to cheer for them. Awkward for them. And there was a big. I thought, well, we'll get into that later. Moving on, the fans have voted on things, and I don't know what you guys were voting. What does it matter if they have rice or not? And 53% of you guys chose for them not to have rice, which I remember at the time of the polls. This was like the filming of 48 or the airing of 48. I remember what I voted for, but like this is one that's super inconsequential to me, especially the tribe supplies as well. Um, I was surprised at a lot of the fans' choices tonight, and we'll get into more. But no rice. I was a little bit surprised at that because I think as much as there is a super fan community, I think the community of the casuals is better. So maybe then maybe the casuals didn't realize that they actually there's a freaking mouse outside my door. Um, I wish I think the casuals thought that this was a like new era trope is that they don't get rice initially, but they used to get rice to start the game. So I don't know, maybe there was a mix up there. I'd love to see the voting total numbers from the fans because I think this is an easy way for them to just say, you know what, here you go. And I need to see those people who are going to Survivor 50 reunion when it happens and I don't win. And if I win, y'all will be coming with me, of course. But we need proof that those people are in attendance, and we need proof of the fan numbers. And like, let's see what was the thousands of votes. Let's break this down like a political election. But I was surprised at both those choices. I thought the old school fans would want them to have both rice and supplies. So to see them have neither doesn't do much for me. But it's in the hands of the fans. It's the season theme. So there you go. Moving ahead, we have the initial marooning challenge, which I thought was pretty fun. It's pretty surreal to just watch. Um, you have like these random pair ups of Rizzo, and it's like, what is happening right now? I'm watching freaking Ozzy and Joe together, and I'm watching Coach and somebody. It's so odd to watch these players all get together, and that's what makes this season awesome as well. Just watching all these random mix match moments. But I like this marooning challenge. I think I always forget that there is a marooning challenge when watching the show, but this was decently entertaining just because it's all of our people are in there, all of our returning players. And there is, of course, a twist. Obviously, well, not obviously, but Purple wins the challenge. Good for them. Purple team is my team. Like all the people I like are on the Purple team, mostly. Like the people I'm really rooting for, which is Q, Genevieve, Colby. Um, I kind of like Rizzo and Angelina. Those are the people I'm kind of rooting for on the Purple team. The other Aubrey, I don't really care much for either way. And obviously, I mentioned my opinion on Stephanie. And Kyle, I didn't really care for heading into this episode. Anyways, Purple wins fire. How surprising. Actually, that is pretty surprising because if you listen to any pre-game interviews and podcasts and analysis, the orange team has Ozzy and Joe. The teal team has Jonathan and Charlie, who's like insane at other stuff. The orange team also has puzzlers. So the purple team was looking rough. People thought the purple team would be the disaster tribe. No, they win the first challenge, and spoiler alert, they'll win the immunity challenge as well. Anyways, Q, Coach, and Ozzy are chosen to do a challenge for supplies, which, we have to do this. It's so weird watching like all these old school players have to deal with these new school things like the journey and the fight for supplies challenge. Nonetheless, this is going to be a, a challenge that is going to have a lot of effects later on, it looks like. But those are the three chosen, which also I don't know why someone like Q is willing to go on that challenge where Q would be seems to be a pretty big target heading into the season. So to just dip right away would be kind of odd to miss out on those first couple hours with your tribe mates. It is what it is, but him, Coach, and Ozzy are going to be at that disadvantage of not meeting their tribe mates for what we think is going to just be the afternoon until we get into later on. Keeping it moving though, we start going to each of the camps, everyone getting together, talking. Finally, the drama begins. This is where we get interesting. So on the purple team, I thought the initial hug between Colby and Angelina being like, Colby, like they've had so much beef preseason. Apparently they were pre-gaming against each other. That was super funny to watch them hug. Initially, it'd be like the first hug of the purple tribe. And then Colby, this was a great Colby episode, I gotta say. I was a little bit skeptical on Kobe's return, but the more I heard from him, his interviews were great, and just hearing his reason for why I wanted to come back, that he wants to prove that he's got something still in the tank, I thought is awesome. And tonight was a great Colby episode. You gotta love Colby after tonight. Him calling Rizzo initially annoying as hell was so funny. And, obviously they have a great moment later on in the episode, but that was just a laugh out loud moment, which, Survivor is pretty cringe nowadays. So that was great to have that laugh out moment of just saying, like, this Rizzo is pretty annoying as hell, where a lot of people were like, Colby's going to be talking to Riz God. And they're like, it's just all this stuff is so great. It's so great to talk about. And that was really funny. We go to the Orange Tribe where Jenna, she came out too fast, man. She's pushing super hard for Sari to go home first. And Sari has her guardian angels, as always. Sari will not be the first boot of Survivor 50. That's just a fact. You know that. And I respect the play from Jenna. I just think it was too soon. Like, especially if you wait a little bit and, they will eventually lose the immunity challenge. If you just wait a little bit, then start planting those seeds, that would be a little bit better of a move in my opinion. But it's too soon to even pre anything. That's always the toughest thing for me, right? Is if I were to ever play Survivor, what is that first day like? Because if you fall behind in conversations, you're cooked. But if you bring things up too early, you're also cooked. So that's a hard thing to deal back and forth with. And Jenna has been through the ringer before. She was on All Stars. She made it nearly to the end. So it's understandable that you can push out an easy target like Suri and just go for it. But there's a lot of underplaying dynamics on this tribe, which we'll get into a little bit. This is kind of just the initial look into this tribe. Is Jenna just basically pushing Suri to everyone to go first, and we go to the teal tribe. There wasn't much there. Fun scene with Charlie and the toe ring of. Actually, that doesn't happen yet. I don't even know what the initial teal look was. Teal is, they don't have much going on right now. We go to the challenge for supplies between Coach, Ozzy, and Q. There's kind of this uneasy tension of Coach and Ozzy going and being chosen, and they decide to squash it right away, right? Good job, guys. That definitely won't come back up again. And this was kind of sort of disappointing, where heading into the season before the pregame interviews, Coach had apparently done a bashing of Ozzy, saying that Ozzy handed Sophie $1 million, campaigned for him not to lose or not for him not to win the game in South Pacific. So there was a lot of question marks, on this cast where there's not a lot of beefs. Q and Tiffany are beefing, but we know they're friends, and this was going to be one of the biggest spectacles of the season, is to see how this dynamic plays out. And boy, are we in for one. But initially, it looks all good. They're going to squash it, and that's it. We moved on. That was 27 seasons ago, which is crazy to say South Pacific is 27 seasons ago. However, they're done. It's all good. It's just nice. And I thought Q was funny. Q didn't do anything funny. He was just standing there, but the way he's standing there was just funny, and like observing it all. Like, he has no idea what any of this is. But that was funny. And then as we get into the challenge, basically it comes down to one of those little pole extenders. You got to get the key off the ring, bring it back to you. But once it's off the ring, it's up for grabs. And Ozzy's trying to scam school and just be like, whoever gets it off the thing can get it. He's the only one who's been close to getting it from what we see on the edit. So I respect Coach. Coach ain't playing with no honor and integrity this time, boy. He's stealing that little key, and that pisses off Ozzy to no avail. And I guess the celebration was a bit much. I didn't see it in the edit, but we'll get into that later. Yeah, it seemed like Coach just had a normal win and was just like, yeah, I won. Suck it. Well, there was a little bit of swagger there, a little bit of confidence, but that's just Coach, in my opinion. Maybe he did too much. Let me know what do you guys think down below. But not only is Coach getting to dip with the supplies, there's now Exile Island between Q and Ozzy, and boy, you were you got to be thinking that the producers were licking their chops, waiting for Coach to be on Exile Island. And when he got picked for this challenge, they were like, "Please, Coach, lose," but he won, so they were probably pissed. Like Coach back in Exile Island, one of the episodes they showed before the season aired, and yeah, that would have been great. But it's between Q and Ozzy, and Q is very even tempered so far. I think people, and this has been talked about. I'm not going to take credit for being the first one to say this idea, but people think Q's going to be this crazy loose cannon, do all this crazy shit. And Q, of course, is cinema television. Like I'm sure when he gets in trouble, he's going to be cinema. But I sound like freaking Rizzo. He was very even tempered this episode. Like him and Ozzy just chill, and he's like, it's like I wonder if they made a little bit of a deal, became some like talked at all about anything, and the producers just didn't want to show it. It was because it was probably talking about pregame. If anything, they were talking about anything. Um, but those guys just spend it together. It doesn't seem like much of event happens there. Where I guess they had bugs crawling on them. That's really the only big thing there until that we get to a negotiation part, which we'll get into in a little bit. So as they're still there, we're going back to our tribes and spending some more time understanding the dynamics between all the characters on this season. So back with the Orange tribe, Christian and Rick link up instantly. So Devins and Kubicki, I guess I should call him. I guess he's getting the last name treatment this season. Rick, I mean, I was expecting Christian to link up with Emily instantly, which they do bring in Emily eventually for a trio. But Christian and Rick are like geeking out over Star Trek and whatever this means. I don't watch Star Trek, so I don't know. But good for them, and it makes sense to me that the 30s people would all be on the same page, like Chrissy, Christian, Rick, and all the David versus Goliath people, because they all played around each other and they probably were expecting to come back at some point, so they wanted to chop it up with those people. So that makes sense that those two are on the same page there, and Emily's down to work with them as well. Emily had a good episode of people not wanting to work with her on her first season. Obviously, almost got voted out at the first job of council until Hannah Rose quit. This time around, she's got people coming up to her wanting to work with her. So Emily looks to be in a decent spot on this Orange tribe for now. On the Purple tribe, we get quite the alliance. So Colby and Stephanie lock in immediately, which a lot of people expected that. They played together before. It's an easy thing for them to do. But luckily, they bring in my girl Genevieve. What an episode out of Genevieve where she is just chilling in this episode. And a lot of people were saying she might be a big threat, and it's so hard to analyze who's going to be targeted because there's so many reasons for why people do get targeted. And not only is she in this, it seems like Kyle is running this tribe, which is crazy. I thought Kyle would be cooked on arrival on this season. He just won. They just watched him win before he flew out. Had a secret duo. How does he get away with this? Maybe it's due to the old school nature of Colby and Stephanie that he just locks in instantly with them. And I think Colby did mention his pregame interviews. He actually does want to work with Kyle. So that was interesting. But what an alliance between Genevieve, Stephanie, Kyle, and Colby. Like, say what you will about Stephanie, but those four together, working together, that's what you get a season like this together for. That was awesome. So I was loving every part of that because I didn't want those people. Well, I didn't want Colby or Genevieve to go home. So them linking up, and I thought Kyle had a pretty good episode. Kyle was pretty affable in this episode, and Kyle, you forget Kyle is just a good guy. Like Kyle, you can't hate Kyle. So that was that on the Purple Tribe, and then we go to the back to Exile Island, and as it ends out, we get a classic. Someone has to do something. Someone has to lose a vote. Someone has to do something. So it's a trade-off here where one person gets an extra vote and some person gets the supplies and loses their vote. So Ozzy and Q, they got to decide. Q is like, yeah, I'll take the hero moment. Gets pretty alphaed by Ozzy in my opinion, and maybe Q. I think Q is playing the Tony. He might be playing Tony 3.0, bro, of just being chill. Like obviously we're one episode in. Q Burdett is still on Survivor 50 heading into week 2. Like that is great news in and of itself, is it not? But I thought he did get a little bit alpha by Ozzy here, which it is what it is. I think it's a trade off. Like you get the supplies to the group, and you got to say you lost your vote. I don't know if Q felt good about who he's on his tribe with. Where the purple tribe, I just didn't understand what the dynamics would be at all heading into this season. I think you knew Colby and Stephanie would be together, but you couldn't really map together what was going to happen. So Q, I guess, felt good enough to lose his vote and instantly tells Kyle when he gets back. So it seems like him and Kyle were on lockstep regardless going in. Makes sense to me. And yeah, I don't know. Luckily for Q, he just walks back on the beach like and loses his vote, but he walks into the majority alliance with Genevieve, Stephanie, Kyle, and Colby. So that would have been a 5 versus 3. Angelina, Aubrey, and Rizzo on the outside there looking in. But okay, it is what it is. We're going to have a lot of shakeups on that tribe as we move forward, as now Q doesn't have a vote. Keeping it moving, we go back to the Orange tribe where Christian pulls off one of the craziest things I've ever seen, where I've seen where you can make fire with glasses, and it's like you have to do a certain. I think you have to have something else to make fire with glasses traditionally, but he takes like 3 or 4 pairs of glasses and just makes fire. So expect something to happen in season 51 where you're not allowed to have glass, like you can't make fire with glasses or something, like because if someone copies what Christian did and whatever, that ruins their whole little shtick of losing the flint and losing the fire, and I'm gonna keep your flint with me as a reward or as a thing for losing this challenge. Continuing on with the dynamics of the Orange Tribe, obviously Ozzy has made his way back to the beach, and we have the moment that everyone has been kind of predicting will happen, the lock-in between him and Sari. So a lot of people expected them coming into the season, having played 2 seasons together, would be an instant duo. And yeah, they essentially are an instant duo, which, kind of maybe ostracizes them in a bad way, but we'll see what happens moving forward. But those two are together for sure. And, I think you may say the producers didn't want Sari to be the first boot, so they put Ozzy in the tribe. I didn't say that. Y'all said it, and it is what it is. Keeping it moving, on the Teal tribe, we have some super interesting dynamics where, we don't need to go through the I'm playing different this time around, aka like half the players that have talked tonight, like Jonathan is saying, I'm going to play different this time around and be more strategic. I'm going to get names out there early, form alliances. Seems like he's going to be somewhat of a more strategic force within this game, but he is mobilizing the forces against D to start. But luckily for D, she has an awesome trio alliance with Camilla and Tiffany, so I'm excited to see the dynamics play out on this Teal tribe where D has Camilla and Tiffany, and Jonathan maybe has Chrissy and Mike White. So where do Coach and Charlie fall on that? They're the swing votes on a 3 versus 3 vote there. Do they go with somebody who Charlie looks as like sort of a similar Maria figure in Chrissy, or do they go with the on fire co-host connection there? Looks like Chrissy would be the target from that group of 3 from Camilla, Tiffany, and D. At least that was the initial thought there. I'm super excited to see a teal tribal council, and I'm super excited to see a purple tribal council. Like we don't know the dynamics at all. I'm interested to see another orange. I'm interested to see all these tribal councils. It's just great dynamics happening, and we hope certain things don't trend a certain way. But here we go on to the first immunity challenge, and we are faced with something that I didn't think or foresee could happen at all. Somebody gets hurt during Survivor 50. And, looking back on the history of Survivor, there are medevacs. Even in season 49, we saw Jake leave with a snake bite. In season 45, 4, Bruce goes. And season 44, Matt and Bruce go. Like in season 46, Randon, that's what I was thinking. Randon goes. It sucks seeing these medevacs. And Kyle, it gets hurt here. And this was an inspiring moment. I did like this moment of him getting hurt. He was going to be the last one to jump up those little ramps. And he takes a little step back and he's like, shit. And his ankle is cooked. And he's on the ground. They stop the challenge, which I'm surprised this wasn't part of the preview. Maybe because it ended up being his boot, no pun intended, that they didn't want to show this in the pregame build up to it. But Kyle is hurt badly on his ankle, but he's hobbling around. He's like, I want to stay in this game. I want to do this. And he gets up the ramp. Shout out to Q. Maybe this is why people like Q so much in this season so far. He is on the ramp and just carries him up. Like that was an awesome moment of them all pulling him up there. And I was super glad to see that Purple does not lose his immunity challenge due to Kyle being hurt. And it sucks to see someone be hurt. So Kyle has this injury. Looks like he's going to be able to stick around maybe until later on. But good job from the purple team. And the puzzle is a blowout. And one Miss Suri is awful at doing this one thing where you throw the ball and then trying to catch it to this thing and pull it back. Now, I'm not calling out Suri. I'm calling out the orange team. What was the logic in having Suri do that? I think you look at people on the orange team. You have Joe Hunter. You have Ozzy Luce. You have the puzzle people are Emily and Christians. Maybe you don't want them to do it. Have Jenna Lewis do this. Have who else is on that tribe? Have the other person I'm missing. Have Rick. Let Rick Devins do this. What are we doing? I thought that was a very odd choice for them to pick Suri. And Jeff makes it into a hype moment of like Suri never quits on Survivor, which awesome. She didn't. She eventually ended up getting it. Good for her. And I'm like, I'm not. I love Suri. I love Suri. I was 5 feet away from Suri this Saturday, and I didn't get to meet her because she left. Nonetheless, that is a bad decision by the Orange Tribe to let Suri do that part, in my opinion. What do I know? I don't know how this challenge was structured. You had to have certain people do certain things. I don't remember specifically, but I feel like of all people in the Orange Tribe, Suri would be my last choice to throw the monkey's fist, is what they call it, which I was watching with my mom. She had no idea what that meant either. So apparently that's a monkey's fist. It's throwing a ball on the end of a string. That's a monkey's fist, guys. What do you know? But I thought that was a bad decision to have Suri do it. And obviously, it's callbacks to the beam moment. She has a very rough time getting it down, and she eventually does get it, and they do have a chance in the puzzle. And you put Christian Hubicki and Emily Flippin on a puzzle, like they could be able to cook, but the lead's too late. And Purple, I think, wins first. Maybe Teal wins first. I forget the order, but both of those teams win. Obviously, Orange is headed to Tribal Council, and that was a direct Suri problem of Suri losing this challenge for them all. You hate to say it, but you have to call it the obvious. That was Suri's fault that they lost this challenge. And essentially, this is a very short pre-tribal chatter where everyone kind of knows Suri and Ozzy are together. And people are saying, should we maybe just do Ozzy tonight instead of Suri? So the battles are Jenna versus Suri and Ozzy, who will prevail. And they're kind of toying around with the idea of what do they want to do. I was shocked to see Savannah was not looked at at this first tribal council. I think that's a very easy vote for the consensus. She admitted to y'all that she just won the game, and you know nothing about her. And maybe that'll be something that pops up in the second episode as we kind of see at the end of this episode. But I don't know. I was shocked to see Savannah doesn't get a look here as the first boot. A lot of people were talking shit on Rick Devon's name first in pregame. Nothing happens to him. It is going to be the essential challenge here. What happens? We see the vote as I saw the tribal council, and everyone gets the little moment. And when they show the flashback moment of Jenna walking to the first tribal council, I was like, she's cooked. And she is unfortunately cooked when she votes for Suri, and that's it. It's a 7-1 vote on the oldest old school player in the game, Jenna Lewis. I have to, I wanted to see Jenna Lewis play this game, man. It sucks. It sucks losing people. And would I rather see Suri go home first? No, I'd rather see Ozzy go home first. Fuck that. But whatever. Jenna Lewis is the first Buddha survivor, and she has been having fun with the cast, so I'm sure it's all under the bridge with her. There probably isn't a better person to be the first Buddha this season. I wouldn't take it so personally. And W moment of Jenna being salty on the way out. She's like, "Oh, you're all standing. How cute!" Like, fuck y'all. Y'all just voted me out of the game. I respect that of Jenna. We need that old school spirit back. We need saltiness. So, and they're all like, "Jenna, no, come give us a hug." You voted me out. Get out. I respect that of Jenna. W Jenna. Bring her back again. Let's see Jenna on season 54. What, like season 60, Legends. Do something with Jenna, man. Like that. It hurts that she came all the way back from season 1 and she's the first one voted out. Y'all let Kelly Wigglesworth do nothing and get to the final 9 or 8 of Cambodia. Like, come on, man. That sucked. No reverence for the old school players. And I hope this trend doesn't continue down the line because we need the old school players in this game to make it fun. I guess Colby's next up on the oldest man, but Colby's in a good spot hopefully. So that's it. That's it, man. Oh, but Jenna Lewis is the first boot of Survivor 50. I would never have guessed that too. That's crazy. I thought she had legs in the game. I thought she'd be maybe early merge boot at the earliest. Fuck, man. Jenna Lewis played too hard and she got by Suri. You just can't come for Suri. I think if you push Ozzy, it's different, but you can't push Suri, man. You can't do it. That was a tough scene to watch. Anyways, continuing on, and the episode timing was very odd for the rest of the episode. That kind of leads you into the fact that there is something a little bit extracurricular going on here of just the timing of it all. And there's like only like 45 minutes left after Tribal Council. Like, what's going to happen here? Are we going to get to another challenge? What are we going to do here? No, 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 no. It's even more bad news. Anyways, before that happens, we're on the Purple Beach. Genevieve is looking around. Guess what, fans? You voted for Idols on the last vote. Shocker. Who would vote no for Idols? Like, everyone's voting yes for Idols. I think they said 80% voted yes for Idols. And we get the moment. It's a Billie Eilish boomerang idol, which I don't mind the dynamics of this. I don't know if people are going to be like, someone tomorrow is going to be like, this is so flawed and whatever. You get this idol, you find it, and if the person's voted out with it, it comes back to you. So that's what you want to do. Like, it's not going to be like they always try to make these things to like make bonds, like the amulets and shit. Really, they're just people are going to want to vote the other people out who have it. So you're trying to find the next person voted out, and they don't even know that it boomerangs back. So Genevieve has to pick. She's between Ozzy, Rick Devens, and Jonathan, which Jonathan would be a fucking horrible pick. I don't. That was maybe just like a third name to throw in there. But she ultimately decides to give it to Ozzy, and fine choice, especially she doesn't even know the dynamics going on over there, but you think that those five that are left over there could just mobilize against Sari and Ozzy, although I have a feeling that isn't going to happen. I think it's going to start, the tide's going to start turning against a certain other person, which we'll talk about in a second. But Genevieve, if Ozzy gets voted out and doesn't play it, it goes back to her. So that's the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol. I think it's an interesting, fun thing. Who cares? It's season 50. We had fire tokens in my favorite season, season 40, and I don't bat an eye, you know? Let's have some fun here. Billie Eilish, I hope you had fun watching Genevieve. I'm sure, you know, Billie Eilish probably loves Genevieve, so good job. Moving ahead, we do have a journey this episode, so people asked for it. You said, imagine Kobe going on a fucking journey. Colby is on a journey with Mike White and Savannah. Like, all these people just getting together is so crazy, and it's going to be so awesome to see people. I'm assuming there's going to be swaps, and I'm assuming there's going to be um, the merge. Well, there is going to be a merge, but like them all getting together and just doing these interesting things together, it's awesome. So Mike White, Savannah, and Colby play. One person doesn't have to play. Which, what's the like? Mike White gets on a boat, goes to an island, and then just is sent back. Like, that's so stupid. Just have you don't have a game for all three of them to play. You're not telling me there could be like a red pieces that they played and Mike could play. Like, that was annoying. But essentially, it's like a game where you just try and stack on top. You have all these pieces that build in a certain way, and you have to stack and stack on top. It's basically Jenga. Like, if it falls over, you lose. And you don't just lose; you lose your vote. So Colby does lose it. It was tough scenes to watch Colby lose his vote because now Colby and Q are down votes in the Purple Tribe. Those are the people I want to stick around, but they're not going to stick around because they don't have fucking votes. So Savannah gets that. Not only that, she also gets a block of vote. So off the rip, we're just advantages at the wazoo. We have a boomerang idol, we have a block of vote, we have an extra vote. All in that orange tribe too. Ozzy's got 2 advantages and Savannah's got 1. So Savannah gets to secretly block a vote, and she omits this part when retelling her story to the group, and Rick Devens clocks is immediately saying she has a fucking advantage. We know she has an advantage, man. Come on. Like, you don't just go on these things and not get anything. So good job for Rick, and they're starting to look at Savannah like, hey, you know, she definitely has something, and now we're stuck with her, and we don't really know much about her. So I think the tide's going to start to turn against Savannah here quickly, especially since it's Suri, and Suri's not going home, and Ozzy's the challenge beast. So I think Savannah could be the next one cooked out of the orange tribe, potentially. And as we get to the end of this episode, Q's talking about blackjack, we're having a good time, and then you see Jeff on the boat, and Jeff's heading to that camp, and you just know that with this amount of time left in the episode, Kyle. Kyle is medevaced from the game. Sucks. And, you know, he wanted to stay, but they always pull the irreparable damage card on you, and it seemed like he would have had a really tough time if, you know, he didn't get this addressed. He's wearing a boot at the end of the episode. It sucked. And Kyle, I think, had the least reason of anybody other than maybe Savannah to be there on this season. But he was fun. Like, he made an alliance of all fun people and Stephanie. um, but no, like, I don't know. I mean, Kyle was running that purple camp, seemingly from what we saw in the edit, and I'm sure maybe this will be disputed later on. But I just wanted to see how it would go for Kyle. Like Kyle could be considered all-time great if he like made it like far. Like he theoretically should be the biggest threat on this cast heading into it, and he's pulled from this pulled from this. Just sucks to see him go out like that. And I don't know if there's even a returnee season in the future for him, because you think they're gonna do like second chances too, or some sort of theme that involves people who haven't won the game. They're not gonna bring winners back again so soon, especially since they already brought D back. They already brought him back for the season, so that sucks a lot. Kyle, 23rd place since his Survivor 50 medevaced, and that just sucks to see. I didn't imagine anything potentially like this happening on season 50. You think of season 50, you think of uh, fields and daisies and everything's pure bliss and everything. So Kyle, my heart goes out to you, man. That sucks. And I like Kyle now. I really like Kyle. I think he's an awesome guy. So I don't think he needs to get another chance because he already won. But it's like, fuck, man. That was a really sad way for this episode to go out. So hearts out to Kyle. I hope he got better. They didn't give us an update. That is what it is. So next week, and Kyle tells him, one of y'all win this for me. He made that abundantly clear. So y'all edit watchers, make sure you keep an eye on that. We might have a purple winner. But next week looks, guys, where we're gonna get to the immunity challenge. And something I omitted from the journey was that there was a little bit gossip session about how Mike compared notes with them and was like, Ozzy apparently was bitching about how how Coach had won. Q mentioned something to Kobe as well, so they were kind of comparing notes on that, and Mike brought it back. And I think Mike's just making this for a fun season. Like, you gotta love Mike White. He just he tells Coach like, Ozzy's throwing slime in your name, bro. And Kobe mentioned something too, and Coach is like, you know what, God, like you can see Coach just trying to not freak out and rage. So he's gonna mention something at the next immunity challenge. It looks like from next week. So super excited for next week. And the last shot we got is my man Q saying he said one of y'all wins for me. So that's it. That's the first episode of Survivor 50. It was awesome. It was amazing. Besides, the Kyle medevac and Jenna. I wish somebody other than Jenna got sent home, but I don't know. There's so many good players in the season. It's hard. I wish Ozzy went home first, but we can't be so blessed as for that to happen. So usually I give a top 3 to win and top 3 out next at the end of this. I wasn't even thinking about who's going to win the season. I don't know. Like, I'll pick one from each tribe. Like, just Colby's in the best position right now in the purple tribe. On the orange tribe, I think Rick is in a good spot. And then on the teal tribe, which don't know the dynamics there at all. I feel like it's not set up well for Coach. Maybe someone like Camilla. No, not Camilla. Tiff. Those are my top 3 from each tribe. Tiff, Colby, and who did I say for orange? Rick. I think those 3 are looking good right now. Top 3 to win. Top 3 players out next. So from purple, I've been getting vibes, bro, that Angelina's going to go home first of that group. So I think they still find a way to make that happen. Maybe Q and Aubrey link up and just link Aubrey into that alliance. I think Angelina's in trouble over there. A moment I didn't mention that was awesome was the Kobe and Rizzo moment of Kobe kind of being like a father figure to Rizzo. That was awesome. Just a quick aside there. And what was it? Okay, so purple, I think Angelina's cooked. Orange, I think Ozzy in theory should be cooked, but I think it's going to shift towards Savannah. So I think Savannah, Angelina, and then on teal, who do I think wins the battle? I think Chrissy might go from teal. All woman, I'm sorry, but I think those are the people that should be looking out for themselves right now in this game. So those are my top 3 on next, top 3 players to win. Who do you guys think will win? After this first episode, we still have 22 players, still a lot of time to go. What were your thoughts on this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you guys think? So we'll leave y'all with that. I mean, what an episode. And if you want to hear more, I'll be back every week covering it. Hopefully, I'm going to pull some guests in and we'll have some great dialogues. But until next week's episode, check out other content of the Dubcast. We got movie reviews. Next movie review coming out is Wake Up Dead Man. Suits character tier list will be the next episode after that. So expect Survivor content weekly, TV show stuff, and everything, movies. It's all happening on the Dubcast. Make sure to stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment, dislike. Do what you got to do. Interact with the video. I'll leave you with that. And as always, Be easy, Al. Survivor 50 is here. Let's go.